We welcome you back. We are live on Pittsburgh CW 7 nights a week for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call Borders to Borders Hotline. And it is jumping tonight at 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani, Gene Collier. Stanley Cup Game 2 is going right down to the end here. It's 2-2. And St. Louis let one get away on Game 1. They had a 2-0 lead. Boston was kind of rusty after being off nearly 2 weeks, but Boston came storming back. They need this one, but they've just surrendered a power play opportunity to the Bruins with 6 minutes left. And we'll see what happens there as Braden Shen goes to the box. In the meantime, Gene, OTAs continue, and not much news coming out of that, although it's interesting to watch some of the stuff that you see with offensive line, some of the young guys, and it will be very interesting to see Sean Surratt take over from Mike Munchak now that he's gone, and he's the heir apparent. We'll see what he can do. He'll be under a lot of pressure. Well,
yeah, I mean, the organization has thought highly of Sean Surratt for some time now, so it's good to see him get his opportunity. It's very hard to replace a coach like Munchak, obviously, but basically what you want out of OTAs is no news.
No injuries. That's the number one thing. All right, let's go to the lines. Will in McKees Rocks joins us. What's up, Big Will? How you doing tonight?
Hey, gentlemen. How are you this evening?
We're good, thanks.
Well, good. Guys, I wanted to talk about the Pirates and, this injury list and, all the guys on the list. And I hear everybody else being blamed, but why isn't anybody talking about the training staff?
Well, do you have proof? I don't know. There's a lot of injuries all throughout baseball. Most of them are pitchers who are having arm issues. I have no idea. There are a lot of theories out there, Will. But I come out and say, put the blame on the training staff. What do we know about what they do? For all I know, they're very, very good at what they do. So I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't.
Well, my whole point is, maybe, since this year it's been, the most it's ever been, maybe they're doing something different than they did years past. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's
I don't know. Gene, do you have a theory on this, or why are we seeing so many injuries?
Yeah, I wrote extensively about injuries last week in the Post-Gazette. And
yes, you did. Good stuff, too.
Appreciate it. Thanks. I mean, the number of players on injured lists all over the leagues has just skyrocketed, and most of them are pitchers. But, whatever baseball is doing to develop pitchers at the major league level is not working. They're constantly going to the disabled list. It's not necessarily the fault of the big league teams. It could be a problem that goes all the way back to Little League. It's a very complicated situation, but the question itself, what about the trainers? That's the same question as when they don't hit, what about the hitting coach? When they don't pitch, what about the pitching coach? When they're injured, what about the trainers? Right. It's not that simple.
Line 2 we go. It's Jim in Castle Shannon. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the Sports Call.
Hey, Bob. How you doing? Hi, Gene.
Good.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I got a question. I got to ask the expert Gene on this question.
Yeah, he's here.
Hey, when Corey Dickerson comes back, I don't think they should send Reynolds down, Gene. I think they should either send down Tucker or Polanco. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know if Polanco has minor league options. And who was the other one?
He said Tucker. Tucker's unaffected by that. I don't think they're going to make a move.
No, Tucker has options.
But I don't think they want to do that. I think it would be, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates eventually think about trading somebody like a Polanco or a Marte. Both guys have not exactly been what they wanted them to be.
Or a Corey Dickerson.
Corey Dickerson would be hard to trade right now, don't you think?
Probably.
Because he hasn't played. And
yeah.
But I wouldn't. I agree with you. I would not take Brian Reynolds out. He has an 8-game hitting streak. He seems very comfortable on the big stage. He comes up in clutch situations. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, we should give some kudos to Colin Moran, who doesn't get a lot of this, but with runners in scoring position, that man has been as good as anyone in the National League, hasn't he?
Yeah, the number's something like 380. He's tremendous with runners in scoring position, and that's a very valuable thing, I don't have to tell you.
And today, we saw it with a 2-out situation, 2 on base, and he came through with a 3-run home run. So that's as good as it gets and as big as it gets. Line 3 we go. It's Steven in Avalon. What's up, Steven? How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I know it's a stretch, but the way that Josh Bell has been, do you see any sort of a contract extension in his future, and do you think they could get a deal done to make that happen?
Gene?
Well, I don't know. The Pirates reached a very favorable contract with Andrew McCutchen at roughly the same stage. I don't know if they would attempt something like that with Bell. Josh Bell is the Pirates' dream. He's performing at a really high level at a really low salary. That's the kind of players they're always trying to line up for themselves. It doesn't always work. They might look toward a contract similar to the one they gave McCutchen, but they're certainly not going to do anything major, maybe ever with Bell, but certainly not in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I also think, Josh Bell is represented by Scott Boros, number one. Number two, he's headed into arbitration. You better, if you're going to give him something that he will agree to, it's going to have to be really big money.
That's probably right.
Because the arbitration year next year, what's he going to make next year? He's going to go from $500,000+, Gene, to what? 15 million maybe? I mean, if he puts up MVP type numbers,
8 figures, right?
It's going to be big. And then if he wants longer term out of that, if you want to guarantee, that's fine, but you're going to have to do it at a much bigger number than McCutchen got. Or, they struck quickly with guys like Tabata, Polanco, and Marte,
right,
with good reason. And they're getting value, but not enough based on what their expectations are.
Right.
Line one we go. Mike in Oil City. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, guys. Enjoy the show. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
I'm 57 years old. I've been a Bucco fan for all my life. Saw 71 and 79. I'll probably never see another World Series in my life with the Pirates that win it, but it is
Never
what
know. You never know. I mean, look at the St. Louis Blues. Sports is weird that way, though, Mike. I'll tell you to stay tuned no matter what it is, only because the St. Louis Blues, I was reading after they fired Mike Yeo and they were the last team.
January 3rd, right?
Yeah, January of this year. They were dead last in the NHL, 31 out of 31 teams. All kinds of consternation. And all of a sudden, look what happened.
Sure.
And now
Same
here
with
they
the
are.
Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
1993, I think, was
Right.
the first year. And
And they made an all-in trade with Kawhi Leonard, and it's worked out for them. But
Yep.
they took a lot of criticism for that as well. We have some tweets in. We have this one here for Jason Cessna on Twitter, at KDPomp, at Gene Collier. He says, guys, I'm good with trading Polanco or Marte. The experiment is getting old. I wouldn't have traded McCutchen 2 years earlier, or both. Game Day says, I suspect Josh Bell maybe of using something enhancement. Well, again, that's going to happen anytime somebody comes up with numbers like this. I get it, but, there's no proof, and until there is, you can't really say it. Robin Gateway says the Reds signed second baseman, he's now first baseman or whatever, Derek Dietrich, who killed them last night, minor league deal. Why couldn't the Pirates have done that? Well, I think the Pirates investigated, chose not to. It was similar to Jordan Lyles, Gene. But, I mean,
he's a find. I mean, I don't.
He is.
Yeah. I mean,
although he did hit, I think, 14 home runs or 16 last year, so
right.
he did hit some.
But I don't think there were 20 teams in on Dietrich.
How did you think about last night, Gene? What happened and the way they handled that situation? That they didn't throw. He had 3 straight home runs with 2-run shot, 2-run, 6 RBIs after he showboated the night before. Did you think they should have done something prior to any of that?
Well, yeah, I did, but I'm kind of old school that way. You can't consistently stand in the batter's box and clobber pitches at will without ever being made to feel uncomfortable. I think that's just basic baseball. So I was surprised by that. But there again today, you saw what happened today. I mean, it's hard to figure this stuff out anymore. You used to kind of know how this works. But Suarez gets hit by
Clay Holmes.
By Clay Holmes in the 8th. The Pirates come up 2 more times. The top of the, or was it 1 more time?
It was 1 more time.
1 more time in the top of the 9th. No pitches really.
Yeah, right.
I mean.
That wasn't a throw. He wasn't throwing at him. It rode inside. It was just an inside pitch that got away from him a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but the Reds manager Bell said post-game he was very surprised that his players can't get protection, and he was not talking. He was talking about the Reds pitchers.
Right. Interesting. All right, 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We have more calls on the way. We need to take a break. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on the Bordas and Bordas Hotline.